Hello! So today JustFlight have updated the Arrow family of aircraft, the PA28s. So we're going to take the PA28 Arrow 3 for a flight to try it out. And we are at Friday Harbour. Let me just remove the compass from this display. We're at Friday Harbour and we're going to go for a short flight around the islands around Friday Harbour. So it should be good fun, and it will be just a good, nice test of flying the aeroplane around. There's been some textural, I should say, improvements around the aircraft, and various little things that were broken in the past are now fixed apparently. So if we go and jump inside, I'm not going to turn head tracking on just yet, so we're going to remove the chocks and the tie downs. We'll leave the auto fuel selector on. I think the rest of it is all good to go, so we should be able to come back out of here. So nothing is new in the tablet as far as I'm aware, so I'm not going to concentrate on that today. We need to get the airplane up and running, don't we? So we'll turn the tablet off for the moment. So what do we need to do in this aircraft? We'll turn the battery on, and we have got instruments coming alive, which is great. We'll make sure the fuel shut-off valve is on one of the tanks, and it is. We'll make sure that the fuel tanks actually have fuel, and they do. And manifold pressure is looking a little bit odd, but hopefully that will change when we start the engine up. So we have got a light flashing down here. If we go and have a look, I might turn head tracking on actually, because that will let me bend down and have a look and see which that one is. So that's the auto extending undercarriage is off. It's flashing at the moment. So if you're wondering what that is, it's a little lever down between us here. So if we switch that down, then that will stop flashing. Okay, so we need to turn on the rotating beacon light before we start the engine. We need to turn the magnetos to both. We need to put the mixture on rich, propeller RPM on high RPM, make sure the parking brake is on. It is, which we just cycle that to make sure my controls are working. Yep, they are working. We'll crack the throttle open and we will start the engine. So let's just zoom out slightly so you can see the propeller turn as I do this. Okay, looking good. So let's just have a look at the volume levels to make sure that you're not being drowned out by the engine. No, you're not. That's all fine. So scoot back over here. We're going to go and turn on the alternator. So it was interesting we started without any fuel pump. So we can turn on the nav lights to full brightness. So we should see. Interesting. Were they already on? Let's turn them the other way. No, they were most definitely off. So I think they are on, they're just not very bright. So we can see at the back, whoops, let's move the view up. There's a gantry in our way. Just looking to see if this light's flashing. Yes, it is. Okay, so we're going to turn on the radios. Turn on the transponder. Turn on the ADF. Turn on the distance measuring equipment. Turn on the GPS, even though we're not going to use it. It's just going to do the alignment. It says acquiring at the moment. Shouldn't take too long. So if we press enter on that, oh no, you press nav, don't you, on this one? There we go, and then we get the summary screen showing altitude, north and west, and glide slope and trek, which is all fine. We're not actually going to use it today. Calibrate the altimeter, calibrate the HSI. Was already correct, and I think looking around we're pretty good to go. So we'll obviously put the rest of the lights on when we get to the runway. So we should be good to taxi. Let's have a look outside, make sure everything's looking okay. So it's worth pointing out before we get started as well, to double up on things we're doing today, we're going to be trying out Volanta. So we'll talk a little bit about it while we're en route. So Volanta is an electronic flight recording tool, but it also shows you other people that are in the simulator at the same time as you that are running Volanta. So you can see I'm here. If we zoom out far enough, we'll see other people that are running Volanta around the place, little blue aeroplanes. But you can also turn on VATSIM, and you can go and click on somebody, for example, and you can see the details of their flight. Same is true of Volanta itself. So if you click on something, it shows you the flight plan, and you can actually find out, who that person is, and go and take an interest in them and add them to your friends if you want to. Okay, so we are interested in ourselves today, and we're going from Friday Harbour to Friday Harbour, but obviously via a load of other airfields. Okay, so turn on head tracking at this point, I suppose. So press F12 twice, which is what it usually takes to make it wake up. And we are rolling. Always good. I'm going to put the wing straight through the artificially not intelligent non-player character stood there. God, it's a popular airfield today, isn't it, Friday Harbour? Tower looks good though, doesn't it? This is the stock scenery, by the way. I've not done anything special here. So it looks like it's had some very special treatment in the simulator. We're just going to make our way around this parking area. Continue on down to the other end of the runway. So I believe this will be our turning point. So what else is parked around today? Looks like an RV-14. Okay. Oh, we got an AI plane doing breakdancing over there, not unusual. So we'll just get lined up and then we'll turn the rest of our lights on, ready to go. So we're at runway 16 here at Friday Harbour. Okay, just hold it on the toe brakes for a moment and turn off the head tracking for a moment just to do this very quickly, because it's a lot easier and more quicker to do this with the keyboard and the mouse. So anti-collision lights go to on. The pitot heat can go to on, landing lights can go to on, and I think we're pretty much ready to go. So the transponder is already on. Okay, so F, then head tracking on, center it up. Okay, accelerate along the runway. Whoa, there's a lot of wind pushing our tail across, or maybe it's torque, I'm not entirely sure. Holding quite a lot of right rudder to hold the centre line. 80 knots. That was a bit squirrely, a bit more than I wanted it to be. So gear up. Keep an eye on the manifold pressure. Yeah, it won't. I don't think you can overdo the manifold in this particular aircraft. It seems to be quite stable in that regards, but we will pull the RPM down if we can. There we go. So we're just going to fly up the coast here for a little way. So our first stop is going to be, let's have a look at the map. Burden Field, directly south of us. So the approach into Burden Field is quite an interesting one. So if you look out over the right side of the aircraft, you can see it's just over here. It's one of the nice things now. I can fly, look and point things out to you with the mouse while I'm flying. So we are going to come in here and come in over the water low, and then it's uphill, which you can use as a natural braking device up to the buildings at the far end. So we'll do a touch and go, but we'll actually roll, turn around, and then roll back down towards the water to take back off. Okay, so gear can come down. Flaps can come down now as well. So there's Burden Field. So just judging the airspeed, slowly bleeding it off. We're coming in low across the water. We don't need to be particularly slow. Having to hold quite a lot of backstick, it would be nice actually if I put the yoke back on so you see it moving around. Okay, so wheel brakes. Notice I said it's uphill, so it's actually quite easy to stop, even though we had quite a long flare there. We came in quite fast. So flaps back up to takeoff position. Okay. Full throttle. Holding the aircraft straight. We haven't got the crosswind to deal with this time. I think it's actually probably a tailwind, but whoa. It's still a bit squirrely. Okay. Gear up. So the next leg of our journey will take us 62 degrees over to Lopez Island. So if we just get a little bit of height, we'll soon see where Lopez Island is. So flaps up. So we'll continue climbing in a straight line here. So the big island over here directly in front of us is Lopez Island. The runway is hidden behind the tree line on this near side. So that's why I'm just climbing gently at about 85 knots. So you can see the beacon flashing away there. So what heading are we going? Yeah, we're going about 80 degrees, but that's on purpose. We don't want to go directly towards it. So we're going to turn in and land at it. So level out, come off the throttle. Gear back down. And we go for the first stage of flaps. And we can go for full flaps now. And reduce the throttle. Keeping an eye on the airspeed. We're only doing a touch and go, so we don't need to worry too much. Whoa, wind shear. Okay, gear up. Keeping it low to get the speed up, and then we'll raise the nose in a moment. There we go. Looking good. Okay, where next? So we have 11 miles, 70 degrees now. And this will be out to Anacortes. That was the controls blipping. That's a USB issue with the simulator. I wouldn't worry. So we got 70 degrees coming up. So it seems we've got a few miles to go this time. We'll trim the airplane out. Flaps up. And what we can do is go down here. If we remove the yoke, we can turn the autopilot on and heading on, because we've already got 70 degrees dialed in. Now there is a hidden click spot here. If we click just above the autopilot mode selector, oops, that will do altitude hold. So we don't have to play games with keeping the airplane level ourselves. Okay, so we have a little look at the engine gauges and see how. So I've cut the engine right back, so we're just tootling along. It's probably not advisable to run the engine this slow for too long. Got the RPM is just inside limits, so we could pull that back a bit more. About 25 is probably a good amount for RPM. Let's open the engine up a bit more. So even at 50% throttle, look, it was quite happily chugging along at just over 100 knots. Obviously we've got a lot more room to open the engine up if we wish to, and you'll see the effect of that on the indicated airspeed immediately. Are there any VORs around here we could play with? Not really. There's one over here at Whidbey. So it's a TACAN. I'm not sure if that will work, to be honest. 113.80. Should we see if it wakes up? So if we go for oh, the plane's being thrown all over the place. Look at that wind, that turbulence. What's the wind saying? Yeah, it's varying around a lot. It's because we're going over this island, Dakota Island. So let's just turn the head tracking off for a moment to do this, because one of the problems with head tracking is when you get turbulence you do get thrown around a lot, which isn't great if you're trying to do IFR type stuff. So what did we say it was? A TACAN? 11380. I'm just wondering if this will work with TACAN or not. Not all of them do. No. So it only works with VOR radios. Okay, that's good to know. So we're coming up to Anacortes, so we're going to turn right. We'll put on the head tracking again. I'm just going to change my own volume level because I'm drowning myself out in noise. I'm having a job hearing myself. It won't affect the recording, it's just me. So you can see the airfield over there. How are we doing on airspeed? Yeah, we need to lose some speed. So I'm just going to cut the throttle back, lift the nose, watch the airspeed disappear. Gear is coming down. Too fast for flaps at the moment. Just. No, we're not. So first stage of flaps. Bring the aircraft around the corner. Get back onto the centre line. So we're just doing all of this completely visually, so it's not a major issue. So full flaps. Okay. That wind is really kicking us around on the runway. Just missing the trees. Probably have to pull some leaves out of the undercarriage later. So we'll go along the coast here while we pick up some speed. And we'll see about navigating. Yeah, we need to double back. So 291 degrees. So start a gentle left turn. So as we're turning, let's get this moved round to 291. Oops, it accelerated. Never seen it go that fast before. As you can see, there's an enormous hill in our way. Actually, should we go around the right side or the left side? Which makes more sense for us to do? Actually, we're going to go the left side of Cypress Island and right side of Blakely Island. Will make more sense. Okay, so left side of Cypress Island, which is the one directly in front of us. Trim the airplane out for level flight. Because we could always pull the heading bird round. real so-and-so, isn't it? With it moving around in the wind. So if we go and put the autopilot back on, and then use the heading bug to steer with. So you'll notice we're still climbing gently. It appears to be having a good go at levelling out. So let's keep an eye on what it does. Yeah, it's trying to climb, look. So if we go and click here, it will get rid of that and level us out. So we're going exactly where we want to go. So we're going to come around this corner at the end of Blakely Island. So I'm going to come off the autopilot anyway. I was just playing with it really to see how well it works. So let's descend and lose some speed. This is live weather, by the way. It's a beautiful day. Absolutely gorgeous. Let's have a look from outside. Heading for speed. We can put the wheels back down, which is give us some natural drag, and we'll go to the first stage of flaps already and pull the throttle back. There's the runway. So just got to avoid this natural obstacle here as we turn in. Gives us a nice marker to turn around actually, doesn't it? So full flaps. Whoa. What is going on? That was a glitch in the controls themselves. I'm not sure we're going to get away with this. That was bizarre. Suddenly I had like a rogue input from the rudder. I really need to get some rudder pedals, because if the pots are starting to go on the joystick, I can't use twist in any kind of sensible way like that. So let's get some speed back up. Okay, so we want to double bank now 320 degrees. So we'll do that. Let's just see if there's any drift. There's no drift happening in the HSI at all, which doesn't seem realistic to me, but I guess the JustFlight aircraft aren't renowned for their realism, are they? Okay, so here comes 320. So let's see where we are in relation to the map. So what we're actually looking to do then is fly straight up this estuary, straight into Orcas. Just check where we are. Yeah, so we go around this headland. It's flat calm, isn't it? It makes it look quite eerie. Never seen it this calm up here. If we get a bit lower to the water, is it calm? Is it mirror calm? I think there's a little bit of texture on the water. In that panic, I didn't put the wheels back up either. Yeah, you can see a little bit of texture on the water, but not much at all. It's almost like a mill pond. Some very pretty little houses along here, isn't there? Right, so our next airfield is up at the end of the estuary. So we'll stay in the middle of the estuary. Should see it over there very soon. There's no point getting much speed up because we'll have to lose the speed again anyway. There's a ship out in the bay the other side. Very cool. So let's go and have a look. Heading in towards Orcas 1. So which way is the wind? So yeah, we're heading into the wind. So at Blakely we did have a strong crosswind probably, and it would have been kicking up off the side of the island, but it still doesn't explain the glitch I had with the nose wheel steering. And I know the JustFlight aircraft have always been very twitchy on nose wheel steering, but it seems to be either I've got a control issue going on, or I guess we'll have to wait and see. Okay, we can see the beacon from the airport now. So we'll pull the gear back down. Should we go and have a look at that happening? Okay, so we want to be off to the left here. Flaps are down. The nose wanders around a lot. I'm having to use quite a lot of rudder to stop it from wandering too far. Of course, now I'm paranoid putting rudder inputs in to stop it waggling, that the rudder will glitch. See, it's okay this time, but I haven't really given it much rudder back. Now I just have. And yeah, I just have to be really careful with it. Okay, gear up. And we want 222 degrees over to the next airfield. So let's turn head tracking off for a bit. See if it has any difference. So we want 222, which we're just coming round to. Look at that haze across the water. Trimming the aeroplane out. So if we look down here, I need to put an awful lot of trim in. We want the heading bug, don't we, at 222 degrees, not just because the plane's still trying to roll. I'm putting quite a lot of aileron trim in and it's making no difference. And now we've got an acceleration happening on the heading bug, which is not useful. So if we go to autopilot on, and heading is on, so it should go and capture the heading bug. And then if we go and click on the top of the mode, that will do altitude hold, which it's doing. So let's see how this is doing in terms of temperatures and pressures. So we're looking okay. RPM is good. Manifold pressure is fine. Fuel flow is good. It's a nice looking little aeroplane, isn't it? So before anybody goes and writes an essay in the comments about it, there's hidden click spots here as well for the altitude. So if I click here a few times, you'll see the vertical speed should increase. Yeah, you can see it's just doing it. So if you click a few times down here, he says, famous last words, and it's obviously not going to do it. Oh, the sim has frozen, that's why. There we go, it's just unlocked. But if you have got keys mapped for the autopilot modes, it will obey them. So we can do things like vertical speed mode, and then oh, that's interesting. That cut the throttle, didn't it? I just restarted the engine. So the keyboard mappings don't always line up with all the aeroplanes, and this is one good case of that. So be very careful. So we're just coming over to Roche Harbour. I was tempted to fly around and come in the other end. And what's the wind on the ground at Roche Harbour? Let's have a look. 5 knots from 110 degrees. Which makes no sense. That means the wind's coming in this direction. even though the wind where we are is coming from this direction, so it's swirling around basically. So we will fly around the headland, come in runway 07. So let's try a landing this time without the head tracking, see if it has any bearing on our ability to control the aeroplane. On the map, about 3 or 4 miles out. So we're almost back. We're going to go Roche Harbour, Crane Island, then back to Friday Harbour. So off the autopilot. Throttle back a little bit. Get a bit more height actually, so we get more of a view of where we're going. To be honest, head tracking is better, isn't it, for when you're flying along, so you can just look out the window. It frees a hand up as well, so I can use the mouse independently. So there are good points and bad points to it, I guess. So is this the airport here? It may well be, in which case we need to slow down. Yeah, it is. So have a look over the wing. Yep. So we're slow enough for the gear now, and for the first stage of flaps. Haze is pretty impressive out there, isn't it? Full flaps. Bit of a Spitfire approach, I'm afraid. What can you do? There's a nice harbour here to turn through, and a gap in the trees. Gliding in at about 80 knots at full flap, so I'm going to open the engine up slightly. Straighten the wings out. I'm not impressed with that crosswind. Okay. Gear up. Climb, climb, climb. So, have a look at the map. So 80 degrees over to Crane Island. We want to go and do a left pattern at Crane Island though, for the wind. So which island is it? There's a whole group of little ones and a bigger one at the back. Okay. So it's that one, I think. That would make sense, wouldn't it? Because then it's got the larger landmass behind it. So we'll stay to the right, knowing that we'll do a left turn in. Okay, let's just trim the plane out then. we're not hanging it on the nose all the time. So we may not see Crane Island runway until we're a lot closer, so I'm going to cut the throttle back to lose some speed. I'm going to hold the tree line of the main island until we're in a better position to assess, really, to see where we're going. It's obviously hidden in the trees, isn't it? I think we can just see it there on the top part of the island, but we'll find out in a moment. There's certainly a house down there, I think. So we're slow enough for the gear now. So gear comes down. And flaps. Keep the airspeed fairly high on the flaps because we may have to do quite a steep turn. There's a clearing in the trees. You can just see it with the parallax of the trees moving against each other. We're going to have to do an incredibly steep turn in very soon. Okay, ready? Yeah, we would have crashed if we tried that in the real world. Not my finest hour. I'm going to go back and do that again because I was not happy with that. And this is the thing you can do in a simulator. You can retry. And this time I'm going to turn the head tracking off and see if I can do an easier, better job without head tracking. And I suspect I will be able to quite easily. This is one of those times when head tracking is actually a hindrance. Because I'm torn between looking away at my controls, which I know will move the camera, or just feeling with my hand for the controls, which slows me down. Okay, so, same turning. So there's the runway. You can see there's a parallax effect here across the trees. So full flaps. It's still kicked sideways, look, really viciously. And then you get into pilot-induced oscillation. But we didn't have it causing as much trouble as we did before. Why have we got a warning? Okay. And we're going back towards Friday Harbour now. Almost time for tea and medals. So we follow the peninsula basically, and it will take us home. Okay, looking good. Zooming along. So next airfield is Friday Harbour. So we're just coming up to this headland, and then we come back around and we'll have visuals as soon as we clear the headland basically. Oh, there's a warship in the bay. Should we go and look at it? We'll sweep round the back of it and look out the left wing as we turn behind it. Exciting, you don't normally see them, do we? I presume it's a warship. We'll see when we get a bit closer. No, it's not. It's some sort of either research or a trawler, isn't it? Probably a research vessel of some description. Oh, it's a cable laying ship. How cool. Okay, so we're now the wrong end of Friday Harbour, so we've got plenty of speed to turn into altitude. We're going to skip across. Have a look at the map. Which way does the wind support? So if we circle the airfield going right, and then we'll come back in. There's the airfield directly in front of us. So we're going to go over the top of the airfield and then back in. Although we have got room actually to do the left turn here. Just do a steep turn and come in over the town. So back out over the bay over here. Plenty of room. How are we doing for speed? Yep, okay, I can come down. Be cool to visit, wouldn't it? and to walk some of these streets and see how accurate they are. So full flaps. So we're looking on the VASI lights for 1 red and 1 white for a proper approach angle. So we're a bit high at the moment. We've got 1 red and 1 white, which is good. We're going to get 2 reds now, look, we're too low. Not my best hour for landing an aeroplane, but better than earlier. Okay, flaps up. And we're looking for the taxiway. Should we pull in next to the aircraft park just here? Are they PC-21s? They got high tails though, haven't they? Okay. Parking brake is on. Pull the mixture up. And we're looking good. So Peter, he can come off, lights can come off, landing light off, fuel pump off, alternator off. Everything else is good. Go around the radios. I'm not sure this has actually an off, but we'll try it. I think you just turn it down basically. The reason I'm being so careful to do all of this is because this aircraft has a memory of where things are. So I am leaving it in a state in which I would like to find it, basically. I'm going to turn the nav lights off and the battery off. There we go. So then I will know that all the switches are off when I next get in it. So apparently, we're going to try this out, that one of the changes they've made to this aircraft is you can't do this anymore. No, look, you stop at the door. Oh, that's a shame. You can't skid sideways out of the cockpit anymore. Oh well. Anyway. I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully you enjoyed that. So that was the PA28, the Piper Arrow in Microsoft Flight Simulator. This is the JustFlight Piper Arrow. So as you saw, I think you need rudder pedals with it, or you need to tailor the stick, because sticks don't tend to have the best components for twisting a stick for the rudder, whereas rudders tend to be a lot better, rudder pedals. So that really showed up in this. It's quite twitchy. I might need to make a specific profile that softens out the twisting. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there. Hope you enjoyed that. Oh, should we have a quick look at our flight on Volanta, see what it made of it. So there's our flight. So where it gets clever in Volanta, you can move this into 3 dimensions, and you can actually see your altitude into and out of the various airports, but also you can get a landing report on each one, so 100 feet a minute. It's going to be fun, isn't it? Got 24 feet a minute, That's the one 59 feet and 100 feet. Which was the one I did twice then? Here it is. 162 and 225. I think the second one I came in much more firmly. And then the final one was 128 feet a minute. So they're all pretty good landings. But yeah, so Volanta keeps a record of all the flights you do. So then if I go back to recenter the map and zoom out and put this back away and zoom out a lot further to show the world, if I look at my flights over time, you can see I haven't used it for a while. So these are pretty much historic flights that I've done in the past. But yeah, it's very cool. So you can see here where I did a flight for a virtual airline called Virtual Flight Online. It's very cool. So over time you see, you know, all the routes you've flown. You can see me doing transatlantic flights there to New York and London San Francisco. Various flights around Australia and Tasmania, all over Japan, and sorry, all over New Zealand and Japan. I haven't got many recorded in Japan. I'll have to do some more. But yeah, that's what Volanta's for. It's very cool. Anyway, I really am going to leave it there. I'll see you again soon.